This is a top two J. Cole song for me.
Wow.
And I think this is one of the better rap songs of all time to keep it 1,000 with you. Because its only parallel is Rewind by Nas, right? And that's Nas rapping about, I think, 2 days or a day and a half of his life in reverse, right? Which is remarkable. And if you haven't heard that song, I believe it's on Stillmatic, go listen to that. And then after that, go listen to The Fall Off is Inevitable, and you can just see the difference.
Good afternoon, beautiful people. This is another episode of Album Mode. We review a new album every single week. We look at the lyrics, the production, the overall aesthetic of the album, and how that album fits into the context of that artist's career. For everyone watching on YouTube, we thank you. We appreciate you. Hit that like button, subscribe to us, and leave us a comment. Let us know how wrong we always are. My name is Adriel Smiley, aka Champion Scribe, and we are here like we are every single week with aka the Bunny, aka No Longer a Munch, aka Green Goblin King Grant.
Welcome back, everybody. I should be Chef Grant now. The amount of cooking that I do, seriously.
One dish, okay, one dish.
That's did my curry goat, and then before that, I did my gungu rice and peas. Shout out to my grandma, icy grandma. Uh,
Technically, that's one dish, but continue.
that's besides the point. See, look and see what's happening, guys. I'm trying to talk about I'm progressing as a person. I'm adding to my cooking repertoire. Here comes people out the woodwork trying to bring a black man down immediately. Immediately, I'm trying to celebrate the our culture. But yes, we're back. I'm Démar Grant. We're back here with J. Cole and his latest and maybe final album, The Fall Off. This is an album he has been teasing for like 4 years, I think, genuinely. And he has been talking. J. Cole is an artist who has been fixated on the end of his career, the idea of falling off, retirement, all that type of stuff. He has been really, really, really fixated on this in the past 4 years. So I was fascinated by what this could possibly sound like because J. Cole, we've known, has been a person who is self-referential, but also produces his own music. Like the idea of a song made by J. Cole, produced by J. Cole, written by J. Cole. We've all heard the jokes. So when it came to the end, I was curious as to what that would look like, sound like, everything, because he has had this reputation of doing everything himself. And when it's a final type of thing, usually people like to be an auteur when it comes to that situation and present their entire end of their life, end of their musical career, all that type of stuff. That's why we have memoirs, right? So I was curious as to what it would even sound like, to be honest. So the fall off, I was endlessly curious. How did you feel about this coming into it?
I want to go back in time
Okay.
to actually the origin of this fall off, the name, the rumor, all of that. But before we do that, I think we have to talk about the beef. In May, spring of 2024, leading into summer, that I think changed this whole album completely from a consumer perspective, from J. Cole's perspective. There's rumors that like he had two songs with Kendrick and two songs with Drake on this album.
Well,
We don't get either of those on this project.
hmm
Of course, he stepped into the battle, put out 7 Minute Drill, gets on stage at Dreamville Fest, says he's quote unquote losing sleep, and has to take the song down, apologizes to Kendrick. That is kind of, made fun about during the battle. Um, you know, Going from what Maul said on the Rory and Maul podcast, seems like Drake is not a fan of J. Cole right now. Um, a lot of
yeah,
the
because he wanted
rumor,
him in it.
yeah, and I also think that it probably felt like J. Cole and Drake versus Kendrick. And
Oh,
I think from Drake's perspective, who else do you want from in a rap beef on your side than J. Cole at that time? Now, since
hmm
then, we have different opinions. But I think at that time, you're like, if it's J. Cole on my side going against Kendrick,
yeah,
we
we're gonna
got
win.
this. 2-on-1, we got this.
Hmm.
And then it became 20 versus one. So I think that a lot has changed in terms of the actual layout of hip hop as its own culture. That's a whole separate podcast to talk about since that beef. But I think J. Cole's in the middle of that, where what this album was going to be, what it became, how we're viewing it is all through that lens. Um, Two things I want to say for myself before we get into kind of the lore of what the fall off is and became.
Hmm.
I think every time that passes, I kind of feel like J. Cole's decision was a better decision. From a hip hop perspective, it's crazy to me that he even did that. I think J. Cole knows how insane that was.
Yes.
But I think one thing I've thought about a lot, and I do want to have like a whole another conversation about this, you know, entirely, but I don't feel like that was good for hip hop. Hip hop feels more divided than it's ever been. It's
Hmm.
like you're on the like commercial rap side or you're real rap. And, Kanye West was kind of the part of changing that, where it's like, okay, now everyone can just be rap. Like conscious, you can be fly, you can like girls, it's all together. And I think that we're back to it being divided. And as well, I think we're back to where you have a side that's chosen. You're on a side and you're on a side in perpetuity.
Right.
And that to me is where we're very fractured as a hip hop culture, because one thing I think about is Baby Keem. He announced he has an album
Mm-hmm.
coming, signed a TDE. When Baby Keem came to Toronto as part of his, Die for My Bitch tour, Drake was at the show. Drake was one of the artists who was putting up the Baby Keem flag.
Right.
And there are moments like that we don't get anymore. Like that was an authentic, he's hot, he's making good music. Fast forward to the beef where Drake says Kendrick stuff is only hitting, Baby Keem put his pen to it. So I think hip hop as a whole has changed since that beef. J. Cole is a big part of that. And I want to start that off when we go back in time, because that to me plays into how this music sounds, just sonically. Forget
Yeah.
about the lyrics, but the sonics of the music, I think all of that plays into it. You said it's been 4 years talking about the fall
Wait,
off?
hold on. I
Go
want to
ahead, go
talk
ahead.
about what you were just talking about because that's important. I think that hip hop originally um was extremely territorial. Territorial, the idea of like even your rapping style, copying somebody's flow was a huge no-no at the very beginning, like huge, huge, huge. And then we got to a point where it was city regional. LA versus New York. We know all about the beef. Very obvious. Then we had a period in time where Atlanta emerged, Toronto emerged as well. Toronto was a thing for hip hop. And then Drake, I don't want to give all the credit to Drake, but I also Drake and Kanye West were part of that merging where you can be a pop rapper but also have the conscious lyrics, but then also show up next to uh Lil Wayne, next to Two Chains, next to Nipsey, next to Drake. Like those people could all exist in a music video, and everybody's like, "Yeah, this makes total sense." Whereas in 20 years before that, you'd be like, "No fucking way is Too Short showing up in a music video with Jay Z showing up with a music video with Nas. Like that's just not happening, right?" So we were actually during this time before the beef, the Drake and Kendrick beef. Uh, for those who are not aware, we were in a time where it was harmonious, right? There was a harmony between basically all of hip hop. You can be on any scale, and as long as you were in, you were in. So somebody like Toby Lou could do something with Chance the Rapper, who could do something with, Nicki Minaj, and Nicki Minaj could do something with Lotto, and the Lotto can cross over and do songs with 21 Savage, and 21 Savage connect to Drake. You see what I'm saying? But since the beef, we've gone back to natural states. And it's kind of I don't make we don't really talk about politics on our podcast, but it's mirroring politics right now in real life.
100%.
Right? We are
100%.
seeing a fracturing back to what a lot of people would consider this was actually the natural state. What we were doing before was this harmonious thing that was going on for an extended period of time that was actually not the status quo, right? It was the status quo because we happened to be born into that status quo, right? I'm talking about both basically right now, right? And then there's been a turbulent relationship between American American states, basically America and everybody else, and then now everything has gone to shit again, right? So I think that's what happened. So now we're kind of reverted back to an original state of hip hop, or yeah, an original state of hip hop before Drake and Kanye West, where somebody like if you're in Earth Gang, you're probably not linking up with probably not linking up with Drake anymore. Like
And
that was possible in the past though.
and I want to say specifically publicly, because
Yeah.
you talked about the West Coast East Coast beef. At that time, Biggie and Tupac were friends in real life.
Hmm.
Now, publicly things were different, and I think that's a big part of this. Publicly, don't be caught with this person, don't be caught in this city. But I think it kind of was a rush for even people involved of like, no, like, it wasn't that long ago we were talking about Tyler the Creator bringing out Drake at Flogma.
Yeah.
That was not that long ago. And now we're in a place where Tyler the Creator is shaking ass at the pop out, singing Not Like Us.
Yeah.
So I think you talk about the origin of this whole thing. The public facing of it is huge here. We're gonna get back to this because this shows up a few times on this project,
Hmm.
just in the things that he does musically. You talked about it being 4 years, mentioned the fall off. I gotta double that for you. It's been 8 years.
Okay. Well.
Okay, the fall off was introduced on KOD. The
Oh
outro of
yeah.
KOD was called the intro to the fall off. And a lot of people thought that the album was going to be called 1985, which is the year that J. Cole was born.
Hmm.
He eventually squashed those rumors, explained what it was. And I like this idea he has for the fall off because, I've said on this podcast, I've said it in real life a bunch of times, nobody retires. Rappers don't retire, actors don't retire, nobody retires. And hearing some of the guys at the top of their games, whatever it is, talk about retirement has always interested me. We're a few ways away from that, but I know Charles Barkley from NBA TNT, has said, "I'm not trying to die in the chair.
Mm.
I don't want to die on TV." And I thought about that because J. Cole is kind of saying, "I'm not trying to still be rapping once I'm not good anymore."
Hmm.
And I think that making that effort to kind of be intentional with that for again 8 years,
Yeah.
yeah, I think it is a pretty wild statement from someone at his level. Um, this album, the rollout, we don't talk about rollouts as much, but this album's rollout I thought was very interesting because it brought it back to the old days. And I caught myself more than once explaining to somebody younger the lore of J. Cole. And I'm
Hmm.
gonna do it again here because I think we've covered Friday Night Lights, we've done the off season, we've done Might Delete Later. But I think for anyone who's their first time listening to the Album Mode podcast, or you're just a new J. Cole fan, or new to the hip hop genre in terms of not knowing the history of some of these artists who are at the top of their game, we're going back in time for a bit. Now, for this project, no single on streaming. Now, he had that one song, The Fall Off is Inevitable, where he's kind of rapping about his life in reverse.
I love that song.
Amazing song, sounds even better on the project, but not on streaming.
Hmm.
No single on stream, which is not something that we commonly see from artists in the past 10 years. Then he drops this mixtape, Birthday Blizzard, that you had to buy. I tried to buy it twice.
Hmm.
The site was shut down. So J. Cole fans, you did your big one with that. Okay, I tried to buy it twice, couldn't get it. I actually had someone send me the actual MP3 files.
Wow. Whoa.
Yes.
It's
So it was really
2008
going
again.
back when J. Cole was J. Cole. um, And I remember sharing those files in a group chat, and everyone was the huge J. Cole fans in the group chat. But just more excited that that's how we're sharing music again. It felt like, oh my gosh, we're back in high school again. So that's something that we haven't really had from a major artist in quite some time. Where to hear their new music, you have to share actual files. It's a feature on the iPhone not everyone's using
Hmm.
that often. There were fan-led listening parties, which people do, I guess, in the comfort of their home, but fans were organizing listening parties in masses, which
Hmm.
I haven't seen in quite some time. And he was showing up to some of the listening parties. He did no video interviews and no traditional press. Now, J. Cole at least sometimes will do one piece of press, something to kind of let you know, okay, I got music coming. But none of that. And I think this not doing that for his quote unquote final album
Hmm.
is very telling because I think for most people, final album, final project. Now, if I want to compare it to someone he's worked with closely in the past, Jay-Z, who he was signed to at Rock Nation, when Jay-Z's final album was coming, Madison Square Garden, final show. Every producer is on this thing. We got a movie in theaters you can watch as well.
Hmm.
So, very different tone to J. Cole ending his career than Jay-Z ending his career. And that's kind of why I do think it feels more believable with J. Cole because of that. And then last but not least, some post-press he's doing is selling physical CDs out the trunk of his Honda Civic. Now, those videos have been going around. He's really doing that. Every couple of days, I got a Twitter notification of someone who sat with him in the car, and they're like, "Yeah, I sat with J. Cole in the car. We
Hmm.
listened to Disc 2, great time." This is kind of J. Cole's grassroots. And so when we go into this, I'm talking about like his sound and some of the kind of nostalgic things in this project. The actual promo is fitting some of that nostalgia. And I think when you talk about this final album, quote unquote, for his fans, it's more than just the music. It is actually how he's behaving in real life as well.
Yeah.
I explained to someone about the Dollar and a Dream tour, which we haven't really seen someone do in this way since.
Hmm.
And that was like J. Cole's really like touching the streets claim to fame. And I was telling someone, I'm like, before aura was a word that was used by the internet, that was peak aura. Um,
True.
and
Okay, that's true.
and I remember for the Toronto date, the dates were posted up. No one knew where the venue was. For Toronto, we just all booked the day off. I was
Hmm.
working at Wonderland at that time. Booked the day
Oh,
off.
vibes.
Yeah, it's like J. Cole's coming,
Wonderland vibes. That is a different experience.
booked the day off.
Hmm.
And people were lining up from 9 a.m. at venues all across the city, using context clues to guess where he was performing. Okay, he's done Mod Club before when he came for his last tour. Maybe it'll be Mod Club. Okay, he's bigger now. Rebel has a capacity for him. Line up at Rebel. And I kid you not, and whoever was on Twitter at that time, you can attest to this. When he actually tweeted where it was, which it was none of those places, all of these lines of people turned into a sea of everybody running all at
Hmm.
once because everyone had post notifications on. You see that tweet, everyone runs. And these lines were going so far. Sometimes it was he had to do two 5,000 people shows in
Hmm.
one night. So, all that to say, J. Cole seems to be back to the essence with this project. And I feel like the Sonics match that. Let's talk about Fall Off is Inevitable before we go any further, because that was the first song that we heard. That's
Yeah.
all we heard at first. You love that song. You told me you were playing it over and over again on Instagram. Is that correct?
On Instagram, on the YouTube, or was it dropped on the YouTubes? I
It
think it,
eventually made its way to
yeah,
YouTube
it
a
made
few weeks
eventually
later.
got dropped on the YouTubes. And I've been listening. This is my favorite. It's a top two J. Cole song for me.
Wow.
And I think this is one of the better rap songs of all time to keep it 1,000 with you. Because its only parallel is Rewind by Nas, right? And that's Nas rapping about, I think, 2 days or a day and a half of his life, in reverse, right? Which is remarkable. And if you haven't heard that song, I believe it's on Stillmatic, go listen to that. And then after that, go listen to The Fall Off is Inevitable, and you can just see the difference. First of all, the production is way better. And
Yes.
that was Nas's Achilles heel back then. But the production to this has like this hypnotic, dreamlike style to it. And then J. Cole is rapping his life backwards, which is incredible. Like there is no real parallel to this song. And I think that is like important to really hammer on. He is rapping his life in backwards. And there I can't really name you another person that's attempted that.
To me,
Maybe
this is better than Rewind.
this is better. I think it's better than Rewind as well because he even talks about, he talks about meeting his wife. Like he talks about the wedding and then the reverse of the wedding. So dispersing from his wife when they first met, leaving then leaving the wife or his girlfriend at that time, and then even the idea of like, what my favorite line here is where he says, fast forward through years of rehearse, lose and win, bank account thin, and income streams nowhere as near as diverse. And though I'm blessed, I see me stressing from hearing the chirps of the naysayers. Only days later, I don't care to convert. On cloud nine, now signed to my hero, one of the so-called kings of this rap thing, I swear to usurp. Decades later, mama cut on the cable. My motivation to be the greatest ends the moment I peer into her purse. Right? That is amazing. The idea of like I, I don't really know how else to describe it to people. I'm like, yo, this guy raps his life backwards, but talks about it in he raps it backwards, but talks about it as if it's happening progressively. But you are still able to comprehend what is happening. That is unreal. Like I don't that's crazy. Like crazy dexterity as a rapper.
I was so impressed when this being like the quote unquote first single, because once you hear the album, there are a ton of songs that are more single worthy, more than
Hmm.
I expected. That you're like, oh, this could be a single. Like this feels like, it could be a lead single. The Fall Off is Inevitable as a lead single is, again, not what anyone would do, of course.
Yeah.
But I think what you talked about of like, you can't think of a parallel for this. There really is none. There really, really is none. And I think why I want to start with this song is because the level of rapping on this song is almost incomprehensible. Like you who do this for a living, one of the smartest people I've heard talk about music in my entire life, are struggling for words to explain how impressive this is. And I think this is what this song really is, where it's almost so impressive it's hard to comprehend. Like it's amazing, but it's like the scale of amazing has capped. And I can't go past how actually good this song is because
Hmm.
this to me is J. Cole showing more than anything, none of you can do what I do. And this
Yeah.
and the none of you is not in the present. The none of you is in the past and the future. When this song came out and everyone in the comments was saying it's like Nas's Rewind. Nas's Rewind is before many of those people were even born.
Yeah.
So when a song is released in 2026 and you have to go back to a time that you weren't around for it, that tells you all you need to know. So
Hmm.
you're right. One of my favorite songs off of this, when it came
I,
on in the
I
album, I was just like,
Yeah, again, I think this is one of the better songs in hip hop history, and I'm not joking. Like I genuinely think it is. Like it's better than Rewind, and we revere Rewind, and this is
no,
better than that song.
no,
So I'm like,
I agree with you. Like I don't think it's arguable. One of the best songs ever in hip hop, and it's so interesting because when we talk about this at the end, you're gonna hear more of my thoughts on this. But
mhm.
to have a song like this that's been out for what, maybe 3 weeks in total,
Yeah,
and I think you felt that way when we talked about it 2 weeks ago.
yes,
um, so that's the thing to me is like the ability to have a song that's this good, this well executed, that you can comfortably say one of the best songs in hip hop history, and it's been out for 20 days. Like that is a rarity within itself. So I want to give credit to that. My favorite song on here, and this is like, it could change by the day because The Fall Off is Inevitable is, top three for me on this project, is
Mhm.
Poor Thing.
Oh,
Poor
okay.
Poor Thing, I liked when I first heard it. It was cool. And then I saw some people talking about it online, and everyone had a different line that they were referencing. And I said, am I missing the bars in here? Am I just caught up in the beat? So I went back, listened again, and I said, okay, this is one of those songs where he's cooking on both sides. Um, this song to me is a great way to start with production on here because it's on the first CD, the first disc. And one of my notes about this song was this could have been on Friday Night Lights. This feels
Oh,
like a Friday Night
yeah.
Lights type of record.
Hmm.
Um, and I feel like the first album or the first disc here has a bunch of songs that feel like older mixtape Cole,
I agree.
whether it's the warm up or Truly Yours or Friday Night Lights. This whole first, disc gives that energy to me.
Yeah, I agree. I think that I would when I listen to this album because I listened to it a bunch of times now. I definitely felt like the discs had two different things happening on them. And the first disc, like you mentioned, where it's like you can kind of get a retro feel for all of the previous albums, like a song like Bunce Road Blues. I'm like, that's a Poor Sinner. That'd probably be on a Poor Sinner, right? So
Born Sinner, yeah,
or
yeah.
Born Sinner, sorry, Born Sinner, where yeah, I just feel like it would fit in there seamlessly. And what you mentioned with Friday Night Lights, so I was like, okay, I can kind of see disc one, what is going on here. I like that song a lot. Bunts Road Blues is I don't know if you want to talk about the production or lyrics first because I think when it comes to the production, my thoughts are kind of consistent all the way through. Is where he is going for this dreamlike lullaby type of style.
On
And
disc one or all over.
I want to say more on disc two, but this song is also one of those songs where it's like the dreamlike, you know, it's like literally it sounds like if you stand next to like somebody's baby when they're sleeping, you know, the carousel that's above them, like this sounds like one of the songs that would come out of it, but just drums added to it, right?
Drums and
So
raps.
yeah. So I think that his production style, I like it a lot. It's like it's kind of hit or miss. And it's more hit than miss, but there's definitely like, okay, the dreamlike thing is happening and it's working here. And then some songs where I'm like, not really. But this song, and I want to make sure I'm pronouncing it, Bunce Road Blues. This might be one of Future's best features ever. I'm not gonna lie to you. I think, you know, it,
I love that you said that. I love that you said
I
that.
just think it is. I mean, this and the Nav song that
Mhm.
Future did with him, where I can't remember the name of it right now, where he was just going forever, and I thought the song was gonna end like three times before it ended. That's another one of those great ones.
Mhm.
But this part where he says where he is going, this is really just at the very beginning, where he's like, 7 o'clock on the dot. I'm in the drop top, cruising the streets that I grew up in. I did not, I did not think the same back then. Saying, "Oh, how we changed, my nigga." That's then. And he lets his lyrics like just hang in the air. They stripped out the drums. It's just that nursery rhyme chime sound, and he's just his lyrics just hold. And it's like, you know, pistols go pop, bodies drop. They got the block blocked. It's the police. We ain't say nothing. And he lets it sit, you know. So I thought that that was really cool. The use of negative space in his raps, which is not really a thing that we talk about. We're talking about Future. It's quite the opposite. He's a maximalist, but I
Mhm.
thought that was amazing. I love that Future so much. I love this is one of my favorites. These are two of my favorite songs he's ever made. That's happening on this album.
It's crazy you said that. I said the same thing about Run a Train. I literally have in here one of Future's most memorable features.
Right.
I feel like this is one of those moments for the listener when we didn't know who was on each song and you heard Future come in on this.
Hmm.
I imagine everyone was like,
Here we go.
because for Future to be the first voice you hear on this album that's not J. Cole, who expected that? I
Right.
can't say
That's
anybody
true.
did. So I think, we talked about before about I think Kendrick's greatest, skill in this era of rap is the first listen. The
Hmm.
re-listenability, different story. But the first listen, Kendrick will have you feel like he's the smartest person who ever lived. This is an album where I think J. Cole took a bit of those skills.
Yeah.
Because a song like Run a Train is the first time you hear it, you're like, oh my Future out of nowhere. Again, and to have two of Future's most memorable features on this project,
Hmm.
like this is one of those albums where, we talked about the narrative on the ASAP Rocky review, and I said, sometimes the narrative can outweigh the music. J. Cole has absolutely been a victim of that, been
Yeah.
called boring, we don't like his beats. And I think that there are some of that came into this album as well. The internet was interneting. There's definitely
Hmm.
a bit of that. But when you talk about songs like, Run a Train or Bunce Road Blues, you're like, what we haven't heard a song like that, period. We don't
Hmm.
have songs like this at all. And from Future, everyone has a song with Future. Future don't discriminate. Future do a song with everybody.
That's so
And
true.
no one has done anything like this. So
Hmm.
I think that for him to be known as Mr. Lyrical Spiritual and have a song like this, one thing I thought about from Run a Train and Bunce Road Blues counts because Bunch Road Blues was the first song that I was getting texts about. When this album
Okay.
came out, the first, 30 minutes, Bunch Road Blues, the song, everyone's like, yo, you gotta hear Bunch Road Blues. Wait till you get to
Hmm.
Bunch Road Blues. So that was like, the early track for everybody.
Yeah.
But what this album has, and again, a lot more on disc one than disc two, but I think the whole album has this, is like forever B-sides. Like
Okay.
Bunce Road Blues is not like a get the club hype type of record,
Hmm.
But if you play that at a kickback or just chilling with friends, no one's gonna say turn that off.
Right. I
It'll
agree.
be one of like, okay, this person knows ball. So J. Cole on this project, I think, has done a great job of having, again, what is it, like 12 songs out of the 24 that are like classic B-sides almost immediately, where you're
Yeah.
like, okay, this will be a song that I'll want to hear in 11 years, just hanging out.
Yeah. They're like B plus sides, almost A
Yeah.
sides. They're B plus sides. So yeah, I think that his some of the production is super solid. I think there's only a couple of songs for me when it comes to this album. Because my how I feel about the production is so similar between the songs, I really thought about it. I'm like, which songs do I like and why, and which songs I don't like and why, right? And I think that we've been talking about, the songs that I really, really like. I think one of the songs that didn't fully agree with me was, hold on, I'm trying to make sure I'm talking about the right one. Man Up Above. I'm
Mhm.
sure, you know, this resonates with a ton of people. I hope it does for you. I think that his interpolation of what was it? Hold on, sorry. Up above and up above interpolation. I forgot to write this down.
Either Jenny from the Block
Yes,
or
Jenny from the Block.
yeah.
Right? His interpolation of Jenny from the Block. He has a lot of interpolations on this album too. But his interpolation of Jenny from the Block, I'm like, didn't fully fit in there for me. And then the production is it's okay. Like it's very simplistic. Um, it's just very simplistic, like very old style of hip hop with the guitar. I don't know. This is like an early Jay Z type of style of production. So I was like, it's okay.
I,
And I
I
feel like that with a couple of the songs. Go ahead.
I like that you mentioned Jay-Z because when we get to lyrics, he's someone who I thought of. I compared this album to someone who hadn't heard it yet. This is like, you know, J. Cole's Reasonable Doubt. And
Hmm.
I remember he kind of said that in one of the freestyles that made it onto my delete later. He said, the fall lost like Hove dropping Reasonable Doubt last. I thought that was
Okay.
crazy to say that. Hearing the album, I kind of understand it a lot more now.
Hmm.
But you had Man Up Above. Man, we've been doing this for too long. That's what I had in my notes as well.
Hmm.
One of my least favorite songs on this project. But this was the song that made me realize this album must have been expensive.
Oh
This
yeah,
album
absolutely. Oh my
must
goodness.
have been crazy expensive. Once I saw a post from Benny the Butcher talking about that he sampled on here and J. Cole got it cleared and gave him a percentage, I said, yeah. Once Benny the Butcher is on here, like Benny the Butcher, J Lo.
I
Okay,
know.
Benny the Butcher, Marvin Sapp. So
Outcast
very
too.
outcast.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
had the interpolation with the Villest,
Yep. Yep.
where it had the me and you elevators. Elevators a hit song, by the way. Like that's
Yeah.
not for free. You're not getting that for free. Well, actually, you might get that for free. Andre 3000, that depends on how he feels about you. You might actually get that for free.
I'm gonna break it to you. I've heard a lot of interviews and people will tell you Andre don't do nothing for free.
Oh, okay.
He don't do nothing for free. It costs a pretty penny. But I think that like this is where this album kind of stands out to me. Of one, I posted this on Twitter a few days right after it dropped. I said this album sounds nothing like 2026.
True.
Like this album is in its own world. And again, I think what makes the album so interesting is that there are parts where it sounds more like old J. Cole than like older music. Like there are times when it's like 90s influence and you have stuff like the Outcast or the J-Lo references where like a 2000s, 90s.
Hmm.
But it doesn't sound like this is not like a Mobb Deep rewrite or a Tribe Called Quest, copy. It almost is like he's imitating his own sound,
Yeah.
which is very, very interesting. And then on top of it, what I think is something I want to mention about Man Up Above, is that a lot of the songs on here are like the lyrics are the kind of key part of the song.
Hmm.
Like, again, he's one of the best lyricists hip hop has ever seen. He has gotten a lot better at making hooks or making hype songs, which we've talked about before. But a song like Man Up Above, what he's saying in that song is the reason that song exists.
Yeah.
The actual production and execution of that song sonically, not an exciting listen,
Hmm.
not a dynamic record. But what he's saying in that song is part of, almost J. Cole's lore in a sense that like these are the things that you might want to hear 5 years from now. Maybe in 20 you don't want to hear this, you know? Um, but I think that this is a kind of record where it's like this is a J. Cole record through and through where yes, it's not dynamic, it's not boring, but there will be a time in your life, supposedly where this is the kind of record that you want to hear.
Yeah.
Anything else or production that stands out to you? Because this is
Uh,
a ton of songs on this thing. There's so many songs to choose from.
yeah. I mentioned this before, but the interpolations I thought were pretty solid. The Villest, which is like It's both because the me and you thing is like a major part of Elevators. It's
Hmm.
almost beyond the lyrics. It's almost just like the sounds that they're making. So I thought that that was cool as well. A couple of things I think I'm just like not I wasn't huge was like when we get to the back end of the album, sorry, of the second album, it started to fall apart for me, I think. I think he left the dreamscape thing that I was talking about, and he wanted to be more like lounge, which is more of like a Drake sphere. So a song like The Whole World is the Villest. I think I wrote this down where I'm like, sometimes I talk about songs sounding like Kingdom Hearts, like these like really delicate keys and like this uplifting and kind of like whimsical sound. This sounded like that, like a Kingdom Hearts song, but like gone wrong. Like I thought the key sounds so dreary and like mismatch in a way that I was just like, I don't really understand what he's going for here. Because it didn't, and even the drums, it felt like the kick was overpowering literally everything else that was happening. The snare sounded so overpowering. It was weird. It was so weird.
Yeah, that one I didn't love. I don't love the like spelling in the chorus as well. Like that's a little bit, but this is kind of where I changed my whole outlook on this album
Hmm.
because again, final album, this song is for the Ville. And
Sure.
this is one of those songs where once you've written the song, these lyrics have to go somewhere. Like this has to come out. Like this is a song for his hometown. Like millions of us across the world know what Fayetteville is because of J. Cole. This
True.
is not Toronto or Compton. This is Fayetteville. Like there's no way we would know what Fayetteville was if not for him. But this one feels like it could have been on the first disc because it sounds like it could have been on the warm up. That's what it really reminds me of. It gives me warm up vibes of some of those more like introspective records that he has.
Hmm.
Um, one song I wanted to highlight because I don't have it in lyrics, but I want to make sure I mention it
Yep.
is "I Love Her Again." Um,
Okay.
this is one of the songs that I'm like I think that J. Cole is almost for a whole different audience
Yeah.
because I didn't see enough people really understand where this is coming from. First of all, it is kind of a I don't want to say a response, but like a sequel to Common's "I Used to Love Her," which is one of my favorite hip
Okay.
hop songs of all time. Like if you want to see me go karaoke 100 for 100, Common "I Used to Love Her," I
Okay.
got you. But in Common "I Used to Love Her," he talks about hip hop like it's a woman, almost similar to that Vince Staples song that we love, "When Sparks Fly."
Hmm.
When it's like a gun and a woman at the same time. Common does that with hip hop. And in the original, he talks about hip hop kind of getting like bastardized and it changed and it's not what it was anymore. And J. Cole doing that in 2026 and doing that well, like we're not giving that enough credit in terms of what the history of hip hop is.
Oh,
Like
okay.
Common's song is important to the history of hip hop. He tells a
Yep.
story of it in this 3-4 minutes of it started out like this, then it got commercialized, then it moved to the West Coast. And J. Cole does that here just in a way that it's like this kind of made me really think about what his intentions were with this project. Because this is a song that probably might never chart, might never go number one, but this song is a part of hip hop history. Kind of like the fall off is inevitable.
Yeah.
And for J. Cole to kind of make these entries into hip hop history, like most rappers we don't see make those attempts like so boldly. And like again, attempt history in front of our face. Like the second the fall off is inevitable came out, everyone said, rewind, this is rewind.
Yeah.
And the comparisons come right away. Those that's a classic record. And we're here saying better than the original. The
Bruh.
Common record, I used to love her, one of my favorite rap songs of all time. Maybe my favorite songs of all time. And J. Cole did it justice, but I love her again. So seeing these attempts that he's making, I really kind of want to give him credit just for the ambition of this project. Because again, to attempt to make an entry into hip hop history on your last effort, we just don't see stuff like that. We
Yeah.
just we don't see stuff like that. That doesn't happen. And I think as well, it's interesting being like J. Cole's the one telling this story of what happened to hip hop, of him going, it started off in the blog era. Hip hop moved to Atlanta. He goes, she was all about the money now. They labeled her a whore. I heard what they were saying, but to me, she seemed pure. like him talking about hip hop eroding in that sense, so interesting. So I want to give him credit for I Love Her Again because we're gonna talk about the lyrics. This level of lyricism and what J. Cole's doing is not alive in the same way. Lyrics are back in hip hop. I will say, like, the clips performed at the Grammys, GNX
Hmm.
won Rap Album of the Year. Lyrics and lyricism is alive.
Hmm.
I just think this flavor of it is not going to be here in the same way because most of the songs on this project, whether I like them or not, are attempts at timelessness.
Yes, I agree. And he's going for the storytelling big time. I like the idea of him going for the storytelling because this is a skill. This is just like being a storyteller in hip hop is a skill. Like that's just a skill on its own. Like even just beyond being a lyricist, being a storyteller is a serious skill. And I think one of the better examples, he does it multiple times. Like we talked about The Fall Off is Inevitable. That's a storytelling song in reverse. Okay. Like, but another good song that I really liked, and I didn't like it the first time when I was really just like listening passively on the first listen. But over time, Quick Stop, I really like this song. The idea of being so rich that you wear the same clothes all the time, but then I remember in the song he has to stop. Let me get a good example. Great stop. He has to stop at the gas station, right? And because he because he looks the way that he does, whereas he wears the same clothes, he's just wearing regular clothes all the time. People are just like don't even really fully recognize him. But then he's wearing this is right here. It's like in a particular hood in unfamiliar paths. I got no hoodie, it's bad. Hopped out and went to the pump. I pushed the 93 button, felt like a sitting duck. While looking over my shoulder, I heard this dude on the corner sound like he was talking to me. Hey, you want some marijuana? So you smoke marijuana. I got back the pack if you need. Sorry, I got that pack if you need, and I can smell the aroma. I told him, nah, I'm all right. I never once was a stoner. The tank was taking so long to fill up. I thought it was broke. I could feel the curiosity coming from Buddy that spoke. Right then, he started to approach. Hey, bro, you look real familiar. You look very familiar. Could feel the sorry. And then I said, I get that a lot. As he got close, it got clearer. Oh shit, that's cool, nigga. Wait, what you doing over this way, bro? I was 13 years old when I got hold of your first tape. I tried to put niggas on, but they were slow to go play. But you the goat. They don't know that they didn't know then, but I bet they know today. So this even situation, and then he's like, I need a flick right quick, cause dog, I didn't even know what to say. To make a dollar bill right now, I'm out here throwing bouquets, slanging flowers, but I've played your albums and know it's the way. It's a way. So this idea of him being scared to meet people because of he's him, even though he's wearing regular clothes, like even wearing regular clothes is kind of like the disguise. And the closer people get to him, then they're like, wait, hold on a second. Wait a minute. Wait, this guy with the dreads. Wait a second, that's J. Cole. And I just thought it was kind of funny for him to he doesn't even have a hook or anything in this song. It's just or there's a chorus at the very top and a small one at the very end, but it's just one verse storytelling the song. So I thought it was pretty cool of this idea of a mask, the mask being wearing regular clothes, wearing normal clothes is the thing that like allows him to walk among the people despite being uber famous. And then the idea of somebody actually running into him and be like, hold on a second, that's J. Cole. I thought that was cool. So I want to give him props on his storytelling. That's just one of I think 4 or 5 songs where it's just straight up a storytelling song. So I thought it was pretty cool.
Yeah, I think he is one of the greatest ever in hip hop at the storytelling thing. Like, and the stories that he tells are he kind of finds a way of making them even more human. Like
Hmm.
we can't relate to this. When have you been at the gas station worried about being recognized for being so famous? But he weaves this story so well, and something I think I commend him on is that like the raps don't have to suffer for the story.
Yeah.
Like the story is still very easy to follow. The raps are still great, and the story's easy to follow. So that's something he's amazing at. So I asked one of my group chats, okay, what is your favorite song from this project, guys?
Hmm.
Do you want to guess what they said? Because that's my next song for lyrics.
Ooh. Okay. It's not the one we talked about. I don't think it's. Maybe
We haven't mentioned it yet. We have not
okay.
mentioned it yet.
Drum and bass.
That's a good one.
Oh,
That one is growing on us, but the answer was only you.
okay.
And
Burna Boy, yo. That interpolation by Burna Boy was great as
oh
well.
my, oh my, that was another first album moment. When you heard
Yeah.
that for the first time, if anyone doesn't know, he's interpreting "Longing For" by Ja Cure.
Hmm.
Phenomenal, phenomenal
Yeah, that
record. You
was
see, we
amazing.
got the Jamaican flag in the background for those of you on YouTube.
Hmm.
Um, Only You is this song by J. Cole that's like clearly like this love song. It's very, cute, and it's kind of a version of J. Cole that we haven't heard as much. We've heard a bit of it. I think we hear it again on Life Sentence. That's kind of, I think, almost the more flashy version of what this is. Um, but on Only You in verse one, he says, I owe you patience and a lot of grace. I owe you flowers and a Prada date. I owe you time watching movies that I hate. I owe you chocolates and red velvet cake. Oh, wait, you don't like red velvet no more. Yeah, that's right. I despite who's jealous of you. I used to write about my life, but I ain't telling no more. Say the fuck about my business. Dropped a triple double last week at Lifetime Fitness. Dishwasher broke, fingers wrinkled, getting soaked. What's the point of being rich if I gotta do the dishes? I give a fuck what niggas think about me. I know they couldn't know a thing about me. And my loyalty, she hold you down. You gotta move accordingly. I got a good one. She feel like royalty. There's this thing that J. Cole does that I do want to see in other rappers. I mentioned it. I interviewed Shad, a few months ago, and he talked about getting into dad rap more in the next part of his career. All of these rappers are growing old and living a life where I want to hear about. I think money, clothes, hoes is no longer true for so many of these rappers.
Hmm.
I think the persona can be the same. If you dress how you want to dress, there's no problem with that. But there's other things going on in your life, in your mind, that I feel like we're not hearing about. And J. Cole does such a good job of that just in this one verse, like you get him at the end going, I got a good one. She feel like royalty. Like that's not a hip hop thing. Talk about your woman like royalty. Not very hip hop. Hip hop needs
Hmm.
to change it in that way. Then he says, dishwasher broke, fingers wrinkled, getting soaked. What's the point of being rich if I gotta do the dishes? Real, real. No one loves doing the dishes, okay?
Respectfully.
I,
I like
I, I forgot. I apologize. I apologize.
it's
You're,
okay. No, it's okay. It's okay.
your body, your choice. Then he says, drop the triple double last week at Lifetime Fitness.
Hmm.
It's like these things are not that deeply profound, but I think getting these pieces of J. Cole's life and his brain is something that feels way more authentic in a way that we don't get from other rappers. And I think this is a song that made me think of how rap writing has changed because J. Cole still writes with a pen and paper, he says. And I
Wow.
think that's
Okay.
where you get this kind of rapping. I think when you have the freestyle rap of think of a line, go in there and rap it, you're almost just rapping whatever rhymes, whatever
Mm.
can fit here, whatever works. This is more, no, no, no. I'm telling a story, okay? I want to make sure I say the right thing. So only you, for all lovers out there, happy Valentine's Day. Happy belated Valentine's Day. This is a song that y'all should be playing on Valentine's Day for sure.
Yeah. What else? What other songs? I really like drum and bass. I will say that J. Cole, not a huge hook meister, but I will say that he did better work on this project. I would say drum and bass is probably one of the better ones. Um, let me give it to you guys here. Fuck about oh here we go. Fuck about my face. What you talking about? I got too much on my plate. I know you can't relate. They show love, but it fake. Fuck you talking about? Should be covering up the hate. I know how to spot a snake. Niggas told that drum and bass. Fuck you talking about? So it goes on. So you better know your place. Stay inside in case ain't safe. Bitch, I'm outside with the eights. Fuck you talking about? Tell me what sense do it make coming back when you escape? So I like this. I like this chorus a lot just because it's kind of irregular for him. I don't really recall him ever saying "fuck you" talking about before or very frequently. But then there is also the idea of like there's a little story within it, right? Like they show love, but it's fake, and I know how to spot a snake. And he's even there. I'm out here with the eights. What are you talking about? So I just thought that this this one was like call and response to fucking talking about was pretty interesting. And also, he doesn't really, I don't recall him swearing like that, like in that phrase, like, So I thought that was cool. I think his songs, I think the songwriting is just super strong. J. Cole is one of the best songwriters in hip hop. So I was already looking forward to that. I was just seeing whether or not he can harness it in ways that make it engaging to listen to for an hour and 41 minutes.
Yes. Yeah. We gotta mention that. Very, very long, double disc, but very, very long album. This is my last set of lyrics.
Okay.
And this song, I was very, very like confused. I'm like, which part of the song do I choose? This is
Okay.
Poor Thing, my favorite song on the project. So many good lines on this song. Um, and I want to actually read this thing that they have on Genius, the first paragraph of it and what the song is about, because I actually agree with it completely. And this is the kind of song that, again, I can say this for half the songs on here, we don't hear as often. Like we
Hmm.
really, really don't. It says on Poor Thing, Cole explores how pride, insecurity, and environment can push young men toward self-destruction. The hook frames its central tragedy, a young pup seeking love, validation, or respect, but repeatedly choosing violence and ego instead, only to create more pain for himself and the people around him. That-
Wow.
that-
Okay.
that's that's really the song in a nutshell. And I think it's so interesting because you have this whole verse three when it ends with punk bitch,
Hmm.
every single time. You know, something that I really want to highlight in this is like J. Cole's doing this thing where he's calling someone like not tough,
Right.
but he's not calling himself tough. And I think like just that juxtaposition is this very, very unique. Because usually when someone's saying you're not tough, they're saying, no, I'm tougher than you are. You think you're tough, I'm tougher. J. Cole doesn't really in here saying I'm the tough one. He's almost saying we're both not tough,
Hmm.
which is like very not hip hop to even say um that. So I think it's very, very interesting. In verse three, on Poor Thang, he says, you more like me than them niggas. You still a geek, punk bitch. You can't hide it with tattoos on your physique, punk bitch. And that lingo you added, that's how you speak, punk bitch. You grew up with both parents to teach, punk bitch. So how the fuck all of a sudden you turn in G, punk bitch? You a slave to the peer pressure. You're weak, punk bitch. You ain't claiming no real section. Your street wasn't lit. Man, your shit look like mine with hella tree trunks, bitch. Moved to Forest Hill Drives, and it was peace for a bit. Till domestic turned violent, then a key just switched. In the back of my mind, I gotta be something, bitch. That's when it started rhyming and making beats, son of bitch. At the end of that, he goes on to say, gonna shoot me the fair one when we meet, punk bitch. And don't bring no hammers, not don't cheat, punk bitch. Not on cheat, punk bitch. Trying to lead on that shit. Want my fucking head up. This is a whole different kind of time. And I remember years ago, this is like 2010, 2011. Someone said J. Cole makes music for dudes who grew up around the hood but never got involved.
Okay.
You know, like they were around it, but they
Hmm.
never got involved. And as someone who grew up in Scarborough, I relate to that. And I always tell people, I said, yes, I've been a civilian my whole life. Let's not get it twisted. I've
Hmm.
been a civilian forever. But I'm from a place where if you don't want to kill me, we don't have beef.
Right.
Okay? That's just the rules. And this verse reminds me of that energy of that time so, so much. And there's a couple lines in here where it's almost like if you know, you know. You know, the end part where he says, don't be bringing hammers, don't cheat, punk bitch. We're going to fight. We have
Hmm.
beef. We're going to duke it out with fists. Don't bring no guns. A lot of people have no idea about that kind of rules or
Yeah.
regulations at all. And so this is where, it kind of reminds me of Young Jeezy in the early 2000s when his stuff wouldn't get bleeped out because he was talking to street life in code.
Hmm.
And it was almost like only the real street dudes understood. General public was like, it just sounds cool. Sounds cool. The street dudes were like, oh, he really just said flip two birds and this. And that's kind of what J. Cole is doing here because Don't bring no hammers, don't cheat. If you don't know about that kind of lifestyle, over your head completely. Then earlier, he starts out by saying, you can't hide it with tattoos on your physique. And that lingo you added, that's how you speak. This whole next section is someone trying to be hood, trying to be tough, trying to
Hmm.
be gangster. And I think like this is the kind of song that we don't get as much. Again, it's maybe like, no, I'm the biggest gangster. Can battle for number two. But J. Cole talking almost like to someone directly and saying, yo, you're not gangster. You're like, you're not, you know? And I think why the song hits for me so much is all of these lines where J. Cole, as someone who's not gangster, can look and see, you're not gangster either. I'm just cool to not be gangster. You want to pretend to be gangster.
Hmm.
That's why I read that whole explanation at the beginning of, they're looking to feel belonging, they're looking to feel love, and they choose violence. It's like J. Cole's like, listen, we're the same. He has this line when he says, you more like me than them niggas. You still a geek. J. Cole's calling himself a geek and says, you too.
Yeah.
I'm a geek, you a geek too. Rappers are not doing that. That's not
Yeah.
something you hear on any rap songs. And then why this whole verse stands out to me of like J. Cole is almost, we talk about him being in his own lane, like he's in it on his own planet,
Hmm.
is ending so much of this verse with punk bitch. Like
Right.
every single section of saying a different way to tell you you're not street, you're not tough, you're not hood. Punk bitch.
Hmm.
Like that
Yeah. Yeah.
that's
It's
just
funny.
no, it's funny, and I think the way he says it, like in terms of his inflection, it hits because it doesn't come off as preachy. Like
Right. Yeah.
this whole verse is technically the preachy version of J. Cole, but more direct in saying, listen, you're not what you say you are. You're capping, you're trying to be something you're not. So to have that kind of tone in this whole verse, but it comes off as, aggressive, edgy, that I think is something that a lot of rappers are kind of trying to perfect and haven't.
Right.
And if this is the last J. Cole album, I'm kind of sad that we won't get anything more like this because this is one of those songs that we talk about on this podcast of, is this a song someone else could do? I don't see who
Mhm.
else does a song like this
Yeah.
in
That's
terms of
true.
the content and then the inflection of punk bitch.
Right. Okay. Yeah. That's true. Maybe a Logic song. That's probably
No,
that's
Logic
probably
calling someone a punk bitch is not going to hit the same. Let's just call it what it is.
it.
Respect to Logic, of course.
Okay. What do you feel about the cohesion of this album?
I actually think that disc one is more cohesive than disc two,
Okay.
even though it feels like people love disc two more. I think
Yeah.
disc two has some of the like more memorable records, like Only You, Life
Life
Sentence.
sentence. Yeah.
Yeah, the fall off is inevitable. But disc one, I think, is the most cohesive of these. Here's the thing: I think this whole project, both of them, actually is very cohesive.
Me too.
Just
It's just really
just with
long.
it's just really long, and I think what brings it all the way through. And funny, we mentioned this with Lil Sims on her last project is the voice. Like
Hmm.
the voice, the storytelling, the consistency. It's like once J. Cole starts rapping on a song, okay, we're riding with you for the next 3 minutes. Okay, rapping again, we're riding with you. So cohesiveness is high on this project.
Yeah, I agree. I think that the cohesion is very high. And also the features worked perfectly. I this is we've only talked glowingly about the features because they've only been glowing. Even the Thames portion on the back end of Bunce Road Blues is fantastic. So yeah, that's amazing. How do you feel about the cover?
Before we get to the cover, I got
Okay.
a question for you. Where does this rank among double discs in hip hop? Because I
Hmm.
think this ranks pretty high. Like the one that I think see a lot of people naming is of course Life After Death by Notorious B.I.G. Kendrick Lamar, Miss Around the Big Steppers. I think this is better than that album. Wu Tang Forever, Wu Tang Clan, Outkast Speaker Box The Love Below is in there as well. But to me, this is like Life After Death is the only one that I'd put ahead of this for sure. But this is like right after Life After Death to me. Like this is
Okay.
to be number two.
Wow, that's pretty high. I think it's I don't know, The Love Below, Wu-Tang Forever. I don't know. I think it's good. I don't know. I would have I need more time to think about it. I'm not as convinced as you are
Hmm.
when it comes to its ranking in hip hop history, but I think it's solid. I think we're
Hmm.
we're we're looking at it's better than I thought it would be. I'm gonna be honest with you.
Agreed. Agreed.
Because anytime somebody says double album or in hip hop, I'm like, oh, here we go.
Scary hours.
Yeah,
Scary
exactly.
hours.
Literally. Literally. So, yeah, I think it's solid. I gotta think more about its place in the history. Okay, the cover. The cover is very interesting to me. I would love to hear what you think about the cover.
I actually like the cover.
Okay, me too.
Um, I think the old picture is like this almost looks drawn. Like
Hmm.
that's how I noticed like okay, this picture is very, very, very old. But I think this is one of those albums, and of course everyone knows in this podcast I am a J.Cole fan. But what makes this album unique is this is an album of the story of someone's career. Like this is
Hmm.
a concept album about a person making the concept album. Like four-dimensional chess we don't normally get at all in music.
Hmm.
So this picture, the cover, tells the story of this project.
Yeah, I like the cover a lot. You know what it also kind of reminds me of? Debitaras Mas Fotos. The chair and this like retro
Yes,
throwback
yes.
vibe to it. I thought that was cool. I also like yeah, like this age photo. Like it's kind of, when photos get really old or when you die, there's like, this, there's this like myth that like the pictures start to degrade like faster when the person in them is dead. So I think that including a photo like this where it's degrading and stuff like that, I thought it was pretty cool as well. Also, nice colors. I like the big red, that looks like a groove box. I can't really tell.
Hmm.
But it looks cool. I found it interesting that he didn't include his face on it at all. Which
Yeah.
is it's kind of I don't he's not on the cover of every album, but he's on the cover of a handful of the projects that he did. So I thought, if it's gonna be your last one, you'd probably centralize it on yourself. But I guess he didn't want to do
Yeah.
that.
I think that he kind of made the right choice here.
Okay.
I like the covers better when J. Cole's not on the cover of
Okay.
it. Respectfully. So I think he made the right
The off
choice
season was
right
pretty
choice
cool
here.
though.
Yeah, yeah, the off season was cool, but I think like I like it better when he's not on the cover personally.
Okay.
Um,
What do you
is
think?
this is
No
this a no skips
skips?
for you? It's it's a soft skip. It's a soft
Soft
skip
skip, yeah.
because there are songs that I'm like, okay, I could. But the thing about this album, which makes it so good, and again, so rare for an album like an hour and 41 minutes,
Hmm.
it's like you can't just put this album on.
Yeah.
Like you could put this album on, walk away. Now again, you got to walk far because the album's so long, but you can walk away from this project, come back to it. So yeah, it's a soft skip for me. It's not like heat after heat after heat, but it's a soft skip for me because there definitely runs of songs,
Yes.
whatever 6, 7, 8 songs. You're like, okay,
Yeah, you could just let it play.
yeah,
So I agree. I think it's just like near the end, it's starting to fall apart.
hmm,
Um, which is to be expected with a project that has what 24 songs, hour 40 minutes. If you can somehow put together a masterpiece where every song is going for 24 songs, an hour and a half, you're just the master. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
I was kind of expecting it to fall off
You
in
put the
such a way.
master and masterpiece
Yeah, exactly. So, I'm okay with the way that it went. Okay. So we did no skips. Is it a vinyl cop though?
for sure,
Yeah.
for sure. Yeah, I feel like musically, this is one of his better albums.
Okay.
I think there are a ton of production things on here that you're like, okay, love this.
Yeah. There's a big time
Um,
sentimentality to this album, especially if it's going to be the end, right?
yes, yeah. And so like it being the end is one thing, but I think, and this is again going to be part of my score when we get to it, but this album already feels like it's going to age well.
Okay.
Like even today on Twitter, I'm seeing people say every time I listen to it, it gets better. I'm on listen 7 and I like it more. And I think like that's such a rare thing for an album, especially an album this long.
Yeah.
Like an album this long don't get more than one listen in reality. Like that's the honest truth. Like an album this long don't get more than one listen.
Mhm.
So I do think it is a vinyl cop for me. What about you?
I think it might be a vinyl cop just mostly because of the sentimentality. Because if it is the end, it's kind of important historically to have this on vinyl, I think. If it's not the end, if you get, we're gone for 5 years and then he drops a little mixtape on the side or something like that, then I'm like, I don't know if I need it on vinyl. For me, there are better J. Cole albums. Um, okay.
Agreed.
Is there anything else left to be said? I don't think so. Adriel, do you want to go first? Or you want me to go first? I'll give you
I can
that.
go first. I can go first. I can
Okay,
go first.
Adriel, what is your score for The Fall Off by J. Cole?
I went back and forth on this. But this is an 8.5 to me.
Okay.
A very good album. The writing is some of the best writing that we've seen in hip hop, but I think in music. I think there's not that many albums in music history that have this kind of storytelling on them.
Hmm.
Executed so well and so with different kinds of stories. And I think some of the stories on here have like socio-political economic ramifications. Like to tell those stories so well is a whole different thing. But yeah, the production I really like. I think the rapping on here is incredible. I think the ambitious shots he tries to take at like classic records, like I Used to Love Her. He does like a version of that.
Hmm.
Him kind of redoing Rewind, like taking the shots at those records and executing cannot be understated. And I stand by this. I feel this way now in February of 2026. I think this is something I'll feel 10 years from now, but this album is going to age amazingly. I think this is going to be an album where you'll hear one of these songs on a playlist randomly, like, oh my God, I forgot about Only You, and
Hmm.
that sample will play and that you'll hear that interpolation and it will just take you all back again. So I think to make an album that I feel like will age gracefully and not just through the year, but through the next decade, is commendable. So for me, it's 8.5.
Okay. For me, J. Cole's The Fall Off. I feel anxiety saying this out loud. It is a 7.5. I think
Yo, the J. Cole fans got you.
it is a 7.5. I think that what he is doing is my fucking camera's going blurry. That's how bad. That's how much I was laughing. It is a love letter to hip hop in a lot of ways. We mentioned, the songs that he's interpolating. He's doing a better version of Rewind. He's got Burna Boy singing Jock Here sounds, J-Lo interpolations, Outkast interpolations. Like there's just a lot happening. And obviously J. Cole is a huge music fan. Like he just likes music, like the art. And yeah, I think that he leaned into that an appropriate amount where he was able to show that, but it didn't overrule everything that he was doing. I think the production style is solid. The dream-like production that I mentioned is probably where his bread is buttered, and I feel like if he was able to release the grip on his production earlier in his career, I think he would be in a better space right now when it comes to his production. Most of the, I would say like 80% of the songs that I like in this album, they're not produced by him. The songs that are produced by him, I'm like, and I will say this: I think that's it for my score, and obviously the storytelling is incredible. Songwriting is incredible. He is definitely one of the top tier songwriters. Full stop. Like that's just it. And he is doing it in hip hop rapping, where I personally think this is the premier storytelling device in music, right?
Agreed.
Because you have to rhyme it every time and it needs to sound good every time. People like Taylor Swift with Folklore, that's one of my favorite albums ever. You can get away with things not sounding like totally clipped together in a way that you have to rap it because you're using melody to remedy stuff like that. J. Cole is not a melodic rapper in the
Mhm.
slightest. Right? So he's literally relying on his rhythm of his rapping to carry it through the storytelling. So I think it's great in those ways. It just kind of losing grip of it on the end. And I mentioned I think it was Legacy. I'm not really big on Legacy, but that's neither here nor there.
I want to hear what the J. Cole fans have to say. This
Me
is
too.
the time for you guys to shine. Okay, get in the comments, please. You can comment on Spotify. You can comment on YouTube. Album Mode on YouTube. Give us a rating and review on Spotify. What do you guys think? Okay, I gave it 8.5. Demar gave 7.5, reluctantly. But let us know what you guys think. Find us on the interwebs, okay? Album Mode Pod on Instagram, Album Mode Pod on X, Album Mode Pod on TikTok. Let us know what you guys think. Make sure you subscribe to us on YouTube. Okay, like this video, leave us a comment. Let us know how wrong we always are. And until next time, know yourself, know your worth.
Later days.